Get ready for unique, rare, and little-known treasures from the golden age of radio. You're listening to The Amazing World of Radio with Adam Graham.
Welcome back, and welcome once again to some of Robert Louis Stevenson, brought to you by the vote of our Patreon supporters at patreon.greatdetectives.net. And we are bringing you one of the more adapted Robert Louis Stevenson stories. This one in Markham, I feel like I could actually do a spring Amazing World of Radio series where I just played all the adaptations of that one story and have enough for a good spring series. It'd be a bit indulgent, but you could do it. And so I had a lot of versions to pick from. I went ahead and I chose one that's a bit more obscure, which we kind of like here. And this one comes from your Playhouse of Favorites, which was in many ways a competitor to Favorite Story. And I think one of the problems with the Favorite Story format would be that because you're dealing with essentially public domain stories, anyone could do that type of series, and there were multiple different productions that did, going to the well and borrowing from that great well of generally American and British literature. The big difference between the two series is that your Playhouse of Favorites didn't have the celebrity tie-in, this is their favorite story, and of course it didn't have Ronald Colman as its host, and it originated from New York as opposed to Hollywood. So essentially you get New York radio talent and of course different adapters working on the stories. These were syndicated by RCA. We don't have exact first air dates, although from the information I could find, it does seem like it probably aired sometime between 47 and 49. So here now is The Suicide Club.
Your Playhouse of Favorites. How do you do? This is Robert Anthony Dean, inviting you to your Playhouse of Favorites. Our favorite story for today is The Suicide Club, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is one of the famous author's greatest short stories, and many who have read it consider it one of the finest classics of all time. In a moment, then, The Suicide Club, starring Dwight Weist as Prince Florizel and Walter Vaughn as his friend Colonel Gerald. From its place on the shelf of immortal classics, we take down now The Suicide Club, written by Robert Louis Stevenson.
I, Colonel Gerald, master of the horse, and aide to Prince Florizel of Bohemia, do attest to the truth of this story. It happened during our residence in London, and the strange experience which the Prince and I underwent will live in my dreams for the rest of my days. But let me begin at the beginning. His Highness Prince Florizel was an adventurous man and easily bored. A lover of the eccentric and a seeker after the bizarre, he led me a merry chase around London. But on this particular March evening, Florizel had apparently reached the end of his rope.
Well, Gerald, here we are. The evening's young and nothing to do.
Yes, Your Highness.
Well, come, don't just stand there. Can't you suggest something? Something exciting?
We could go to the ballet again, Your Highness.
A ballet? I'm weary of it.
A musical comedy, perhaps.
No good, Gerald. We've seen every worthwhile show in town.
May I suggest another evening at the Magician's Club, sir?
No, you may not. Those fellows bore me to tears. See one and you see all. I know their tricks by heart.
Perhaps Inspector Wexford will entertain us at Scotland Yard again tonight, Your Highness.
No, Gerald, the thieves he's caught lately are uninspired clods, and the killer stupid.
Then, sir, I'm afraid we've covered about everything.
Yes, Gerald, I'm afraid we have. It seems incredible. Here is a great city teeming with humanity, and you and I can find nothing to interest us.
Yes, Your Highness.
Well, my friend, if we're doomed to be bored, let's endure it on a full stomach. On with your hat and cape, man, and let's go have dinner.
Thus, you see, the evening started out innocently enough. We made our way through the sleet to an oyster bar in the immediate neighborhood of Leicester Square. We had no sooner taken our table, however, when a strange sight met our eyes.
Gerald, do you see what I see?
Yes, Your Highness. That young man over there seems to have gone mad. Look, he has a tray full of cream tarts, and he's giving one to each of the patrons here.
Yes. A fastidious young man, too, dressed in the height of fashion, and apparently well situated.
He must be tipsy, or else insane.
On the contrary, Gerald, from a study of his face, I would judge him to be entirely sober and quite sane.
But who in his right mind would go around handing out cream tarts to complete strangers?
We'll soon know. Here comes our interesting young man now.
Sirs, will you honor me by devouring a tart apiece? I can answer for the quality of the pastry and guarantee you'll find it delicious.
My dear fellow, we should be delighted. But first tell me, what is the spirit behind this benevolence of yours?
The spirit, sir, is one of mockery.
Mockery? Of whom?
Of myself.
Still, I do not see where the cream tarts come in.
It's quite simple, my friend. When a man knows he is going to die, he fulfills certain inhibited ambitions. Mine is to go around the city of London handing out cream tarts like so many pennies.
Florizel, what did I tell you?
Come, Gerald, no comment. This desire is perfectly legitimate. What is your name, sir?
Hartley. Robert Hartley.
Permit me. I am Prince Florizel. This is my master of the horse, Colonel Gerald. But now, you said you knew you were going to die.
Yes, Your Highness.
Pardon my intrusion upon your innermost secrets, but have you come to this conclusion because you have a malignant disease?
On the contrary, I am sound both in mind and body. I am weary of the world and reduced to poverty through gambling. I have therefore arranged my decease.
You mean, Mr. Hartley, you intend to take your life by your own hand?
Oh, no, Colonel Gerald. Nothing as crude and as dull as that. I've just joined the Suicide Club.
The Suicide Club?
Yes, Prince Florizel. The clients of the Suicide Club leave this mortal coil on the wings of adventure and chance. It is an excellent institution for those who are bored and weary and without desire to live.
Indeed. Hartley, you interest me. Perhaps you'll be our guest here at dinner and tell us more about it.
Thank you. I'd be delighted.
But, Your Highness...
Come, Gerald. After all, who is more bored with the process of living than you and I?
In the name of heaven, you do not propose to...
Become clients of this Suicide Club? Why not, Gerald? Why not indeed? It sounds like a fascinating adventure.
Actually, the young man knew little about this strange club, except that its membership was exclusive, its head a man called the president, and its initiation fee 40 pounds. As to the procedure of the Suicide Club, Hartley was not at liberty to say, for he'd sworn an oath of silence. However, if Prince Florizel and I were truly interested, he would be very happy to put up our names for membership. To this, His Highness eagerly consented. To me, the whole thing was dangerous and fantastic. But His Highness was like a racehorse chafing at the bit, for this was adventure. And at last we took a hansom cab to a grim building overlooking the river not far from Charing Cross. The young man went into the Suicide Club to prepare for our entrance, and Prince Florizel and I waited outside in the stormy night.
Come, Colonel Gerald, compose yourself. You look like a man in panic.
I beg of you, sir, to discard this mad adventure.
What? Is my master of the horse afraid?
I? Afraid? No, Your Highness, you know better than that. I do not fear for myself, but for you. Let's leave now before it's too late.
Nonsense, Gerald. I'm intrigued by this, and I shall see it through to the end.
But of all our follies, this is the wildest and the most dangerous. Consider the importance of your life, not only to your friends, but to your nation. The consequences of this step may be very grave.
True, but what high excitement, man. What incredible adventure. I cannot wait to enter the Suicide Club. Oh, here's young Hartley now. Well, Hartley, has everything been arranged?
Yes, Your Highness. The President will see you in the cabinet. I have vouched for you and your discretion. You understand that a word too freely spoken by a member would lead to the dispersion of the club forever.
Of course. And now, Gerald.
Yes, sir.
I am all for this adventure. But I see you're not. You may withdraw if you wish.
What? Your Highness, you know me better than that. I'll go in with you and face whatever comes with you.
Thank you, Gerald. Well, Hartley, we're ready.
Excellent. Follow me, gentlemen.
We entered a door and walked through a great room where several men in evening dress were drinking champagne. They seemed nervous and distraught and were obviously waiting for some event to happen. Then we entered an inner chamber and finally came face to face with the president of the club. He was a man of 50 or upwards with shaggy side whiskers, a bald spot on his head, a pair of cold, piercing gray eyes, and a thin mouth which held a large cigar. Coolly, he asked us a number of sharp questions and finally administered the oath, pledging us to silence. Last, he shook our hands and said,
Gentlemen, you are now members of the Suicide Club. We all know that life is only a stage to play the fool upon as long as the part amuses us. Through this club, you have chosen a decent and exciting way to quit that stage. And I assure you, gentlemen, you'll get a run for your money before you enter death's private door.
You interest me no end, Mr. President. Now, as to the procedure.
I assure you, Your Highness, you'll find it fascinating. You saw those men in the main room?
Yes.
The men drinking champagne?
Precisely, Colonel Gerald. Those are the charter members, and soon they'll play a little game of cards. As president of the Suicide Club, I am the dealer.
Yes? And what is the game?
Watch for the ace of spades. That's the card of death. And he who is fortunate enough to draw it leaves this tired world.
Good Lord.
And how does he depart, Mr. President?
By the hand of the man who draws the ace of clubs.
I see. Then it is a game of chance. The ace of clubs eliminates the ace of spades.
Precisely.
Mr. President, a question.
Yes, Colonel Gerald?
How many of these games do you play a night?
Just one.
One.
Yes. But during its course, a man can live a lifetime of adventure.
And if luck is with him, he can survive one game after another and continue to live for months.
True, some of our members have been unfortunate enough to have the ace of spades pass them by. But come, gentlemen. Our little game of cards is about to begin.
It was fantastic, incredible. The green baize table, the president dealing each man a card face down, and each man like a graven image turning his card up. I could feel the sweat pouring off my brow. My heart pounded like a hammer. I looked at Prince Florizel. He stood rigid. There was a hypnotic look in his eyes, and the voice of the president droned down.
Mr. Ashley, your card?
A 3 of diamonds.
Mr. Westley?
The Queen of Hearts.
Prince Florizel?
The 9 of spades.
Colonel Gerald?
The King of Diamonds.
Mr. Malthus? Mr. Malthus, what is your card?
The ace of clubs.
Well, Mr. Malthus, congratulations. You shall be the official agent for tonight. Now let us see whom you will guide into the hereafter. The deal continues, gentlemen. Mr. Maddox?
The two of hearts.
Mr. Faversham?
The eight of clubs.
Mr. Hartley? Mr. Hartley, we're waiting. What is your card?
The ace of spades.
And so our young friend with the cream tarts, Robert Hartley, had drawn the card of death. The prince and I stumbled out from that horrible place into the cold night air. His Highness was in a state of great reproach for his folly, bemoaning the oath that held him to secrecy. We slept a fitful night, and the next morning, Prince Florizel came into my room, the daily newspaper in his hand.
Gerald, in the name of heaven, read this.
What is it, Your Highness? What? Oh. Melancholy accident. This morning, about 2 o'clock, Mr. Robert Hartley of 16 Chepstow Place, on his way home from a party, fell over the parapet of the Thames embankment, fracturing his skull. Death was instantaneous. Mr. Hartley, accompanied by a friend, Mr. Bruce Malthus, was engaged in looking for a cab when the unfortunate accident... Great heavens, Your Highness.
Macabre game, eh, Gerald?
A murderous game, Your Highness. Let us put Scotland Yard on the track of these assassins at once.
No, Gerald. Remember our oath.
But, sir, can any oath be valid in this desperate business?
I said I'd see this grim adventure out to its very end, my friend. And so I will. You and I are going back to the Suicide Club again. Tonight.
So the curtain falls on Act One of The Suicide Club by Robert Louis Stevenson, a presentation of your Playhouse of Favorites. Now, back to the story of The Suicide Club by Robert Louis Stevenson, presented by your Playhouse of Favorites and starring Dwight Reese and Walter Vaughn. As you remember, Prince Florizel and Colonel Gerald, on the search for adventure, meet a member of the Suicide Club, Robert Hartley. They become clients of the club, and in a grim game of cards, Hartley draws the ace of spades, the death card. The next day, Florizel and Gerald read that Hartley has been killed by accident, but they know it's murder. And now, on with the story as told by Colonel Gerald himself.
I pleaded with Prince Florizel to call Scotland Yard and smash this murderous suicide club without further delay. But His Highness wouldn't hear of it. He was tense and grim, and there was a strange fire in his eyes.
Gerald, that unhappy lad Hartley has gone to his death, and the guilt of blood is on the president of the Suicide Club.
True, but we must admit that Hartley was anxious to depart from this earth.
No, my friend. No man is really anxious if the means of salvation are at hand. Gerald, we have much to answer for. We might have saved the lad, lent him money, given him a new interest in life.
Now, someone else will draw the ace of spades tonight.
Yes, and we'll be there to see it. Gerald, I do not know how it will be done, but I shall have that monster, the president, at my mercy someday. Ah, my friend, what a grim experience. What a lesson was that game of cards last night.
Your Highness, I presume upon my authority to beg you not to go tonight. The duties of your high position forbid this terrible hazard.
I must go, Gerald. The attraction of the Suicide Club is more than I can withstand. Moreover, I want to follow the president, to watch him, to smash his nefarious career myself. I confess I show weakness here.
Weakness, Your Highness? You?
Yes, Gerald. I must follow this adventure through to its terrible end. I cannot call a halt. It is like a drug, driving me on.
Then, sir, if we go to the Suicide Club again tonight, I beg permission to spend the hours of today by myself.
Of course, Gerald. But why?
I wish to make a will and straighten out my affairs. If I am chosen tonight to step into the hereafter, I should like to do so with my house in order. That night, we again took a hansom to the club, and after careful scrutiny were admitted into the main room. There were fewer men there than the night before, but their attitude was the same, tense, anxious, and waiting. As usual, champagne was being served. An excellent vintage, by the way. And as the Prince and I emptied our glasses, the President came forward to greet us.
Prince Florizel, Colonel Gerald, good evening. I'm delighted that you honor us tonight.
We find your club irresistible, Mr. President. And to you personally, I should like to tender my congratulations.
Yes, on what, Your Highness?
On the manner in which Robert Hartley departed from this earth. I like to meet with efficiency, and I find much of it in you.
Thank you, sir. I try to handle these things with some delicacy. There's no one in London who will question the validity of the accident.
Incidentally, Mr. President, I too must compliment you on quite a different matter.
Yes, Colonel Gerald?
You're a man of financial acumen, too. Each night when the ace of spades is drawn, you become richer by the initiation fee of £40. And a game played every night would net you almost £300.
True. It is a tidy figure. Someday I hope to retire into the country and pursue the delights of horticulture. Flowers are my hobby. But come, gentlemen, a toast and champagne.
A capital idea, Mr. President. Whom shall we toast?
I leave that honor to you, Prince Florizel.
Very well, then. Gentlemen, to the memory of Robert Hartley.
An excellent toast. Hartley was one of my favorite clients. I enjoyed his company. I almost hated to see him go. But now shall we get down to the business of the evening?
By all means, Mr. President.
Gentlemen, the game is about to begin.
Again we gathered around the green baize table. Again the President shuffled the cards and began to deal them one by one. Again that frantic tension, that awful excitement, that almost unbearable waiting as the President droned down.
Your cards, Count Russell?
The 7 of hearts.
Mr. Malthus?
The 2 of spades.
Well, Mr. Malthus. Better luck next time. Your card, Mr. Westlake?
The Jack of diamonds.
Mr. Maddox? Come, Mr. Maddox. Your card?
The ace of clubs.
Well, Mr. Maddox, so you're the official for this evening's entertainment. This is your first time as a liquidating agent, is it not?
Yes. I've never killed a man before.
Oh, come, sir. Don't be downcast. You'll be surprised how easily it can be done. Come, gentlemen. You must still pick the supreme winner. Let's go on with the deal. Your card, Mr. Patterson?
9 of spades.
Dr. Lefebvre?
King of hearts.
Baron Van Ernst?
6 of clubs.
Mr. DeWitt?
Queen of diamonds.
Colonel Gerald?
The 5 of hearts.
Prince Florizel? What is your card, Your Highness?
The ace of spades.
Oh,
Now the deadly game was over. Now Prince Florizel had drawn the card of death. A loud roaring filled my brain, and the room swam before my eyes. Finally, I steadied and looked at His Highness. He was cold and calm. Not an eyelid flickered, not a muscle twitched. The President went to him and shook his hand.
Congratulations, Your Highness. Only your second evening and you draw the winning card. What a stroke of luck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate my good fortune.
Would you care for a little brandy? Most of our winners seem to require it.
I am quite at ease, sir. I do not require any artificial stimulants. And now let me ask you, what are my instructions?
To be sure, your instructions. You will note that Mr. Maddox, the gentleman who drew the ace of clubs, has already left the room.
Yes.
You will proceed along the Strand in the direction of the city, and on the left-hand pavement until you meet that gentleman. He will continue the instructions, and you will obey them implicitly, since the authority of the club is vested in him tonight. Is that clear?
Quite clear, Mr. President.
Very well. And now, Prince Florizel, I wish you a pleasant walk.
Quickly, I left the Suicide Club as the prince was getting his hat and cape. I leaped into a carriage waiting on the corner, and a man was waiting for me behind the curtained window.
Well, Colonel Gerald?
He will be out shortly, Excellency. He drew the card of death.
Ah, then we must stop him at all costs.
Your men are posted around the building?
Yes, everything has been arranged. Look, Colonel, here comes His Highness now.
Yes. Yes, look. Your men have pounced on him. Now they're bringing him to the carriage.
Quick, men, in with him. All right, driver, you have your orders.
What is the meaning of this? What? Why, it's you, Gerald.
Yes, Your Highness, and with a mutual friend.
Fortescue, our Minister of State. What are you doing in London?
I have come to take you back to Bohemia, Your Highness.
What? Gerald, was this ambush your doing?
Yes, it was, sir. I beg Your Highness to pardon my zeal. I arranged all this today at the embassy before we came here.
Colonel, this is a very presumptuous deed. Without my authority, you
Do
dared...
not blame the Colonel, Your Highness. He acted upon my orders. Your presence is urgently needed in your own country.
But, Fortescue, you do not understand. I've made a sacred oath that I must fulfill.
I know this mad notion of throwing away your life through the Suicide Club. But the oath is now broken, sire. Your life no longer belongs to you to fritter away. Your Majesty...
What do you mean?
The king, your father, has just passed away. Now you are king, and your life belongs not to you alone, but to the people of Bohemia.
That night, the prince slipped away from our flat while I was out arranging our transportation to our native land. And when I returned to find him missing, I knew where he had gone. A hansom cab took me at breakneck speed to the Suicide Club. And then as I raced through the entrance, I heard... Your Highness, what? President. Killed him.
The consequences of an honorable duel, Colonel. He selected pistols himself.
But you were wounded. Your shoulder.
It is nothing. The President is much better at cards than he is at pistols, Gerald.
Sire, when I think of the risk you took, of the consequences to our country, I...
Come, my friend, compose yourself. I could never have left London knowing that this master of murder was still alive. I swore that I would rid the world of this monster and his grim institution, once and for all time. Now, Gerald, my task is done, and I shall be a better man and a better monarch for it.
And thus ended the adventure of the Suicide Club. The club members fled, and as far as I know, never gathered for a game of cards again. But this I do know, it will live in my dreams for the rest of my days.
And so the curtain falls on The Suicide Club by Robert Louis Stevenson, starring Dwight Reese and Walter Vaughn, and presented by your Playhouse of Favorites. This is Robert Anthony Dean, reminding you that front row seats are reserved for you the next time our curtain rises on another romantic classic, presented for your favorite listening pleasure by your Playhouse of Favorites.
Welcome back. We should be clear that this is an abridged version of the Suicide Club. And that's true of a lot of these longer stories that were adapted into half-hour programs. The Suicide Club was published in 1878 and actually collected 3 short stories. This particular adaptation, and I think most of the Golden Age of Radio adaptations I've heard, focused on the first story, The Young Man with the Cream Tarts, as well as borrowing from the other 2 stories and coming up with a bit of a composite. As it's adapted, it's a macabre concept that's well realized. And this story actually has some relevance to today, as it's about people who, though they have money and the comforts of life, are quite bored with it and undertake self-destructive practices. But in the end, it also manages to be strangely life-affirming. Macabre and life-affirming are not generally concepts that work together, but the prince's recklessness and frivolity is called up short not so much by a lecture, but by seeing the end of that thinking in the horror of what happens in the Suicide Club. What happened to the prince at the end when he's told that his life wasn't his own to throw away, I think also has broader implications. You know, even if we're not kings, we're part of families, communities, and countries that need us and our commitment. And really, our lives have consequences far beyond ourselves. Again, I think this was a solid adaptation for its limitations. Your Playhouse of Favorites, just like Favorite Story, often took full-length novels and compressed them into half an hour. And you kind of will invariably lose something in that translation. But you can cover the important points, and I think they do here. I compare those sort of half-hour adaptations to abridged classics, little books that I'd pick up at thrift stores with large print that would have, like a very short retelling of Treasure Island. It gives you the gist of the story and hopefully stirs your interest up so that you want to go and check out more. But there is definitely more to this particular story than we were able to get here, but they did a good job introducing the key concepts and key ideas behind the Suicide Club. All right, listener comments and feedback, and we have a comment from Patreon where Steve writes, on the Favorite Story adaptation of Sire de Maltro's Door, recall reading this tale years ago. Wonderful adaptation. Thanks so much, Steve. And now it's time to thank our Patreon supporter of the day, and I want to thank Jim, Patreon supporter since April 2021, currently supporting the podcast at the Shamus level of $4 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Jim, and that will do it for today. We'll be back next Wednesday with our next Robert Louis Stevenson radio adaptation. In the meantime, do send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.